We actually heard that Jeff Nemeth would be leaving the country and made contact with him, since he had been our point of contact regarding Rishal's matter, and asked who would be taking over from there. And then Jeff asked that we please give him trust in him enough for him to assist us in bringing closure to the family before he leaves the country. And he's been in discussions with us personally for about 2 months since the announcement of him leaving. We've had endless telephonic and WhatsApp, SMS discussions between Jeff and myself. And from that, he confirmed with me that he had a mandate to settle the matter, and we would get closure from that, and Rishal's matter would be put to an end. So for me, I felt that he would be taking responsibility for Rishal's death, and Ford, in essence, would be taking responsibility. But he told us that he had a mandate to settle. In the meeting was the Archbishop Tabo. Jeff had asked that he please bring along the Archbishop. I'm not sure the reasoning behind that, but he basically said he would like to bring him and exclude our legal teams. And if I brought my legal team, he would have to bring his legal team, and would appreciate that we solve this between us and use the Archbishop, who is, I think it's his Archbishop, and use him as a mediator on the day. My mum was asked to be present. She was extremely reluctant to be a part of the meeting, because she felt that very uneasy. So Jeff Nemeth did say that he's happy to come home with the Archbishop and meet her and speak to her. Our legal advisor then said he needs to ensure that he has a mandate to take responsibility and settle Rishal's matter. And from that, he then confirmed that he had this mandate. He went to Detroit, he confirmed he's got this mandate. So that's how the meeting came about and who was present. She's not coping. She is 64 now, but since Rishal's passed away, it's taken a complete toll on her. She's been reliving his death every single day. And I think normally when you do have a loss in a family, you take your time to grieve immediately. And with my mum, she hasn't. And we feel that her health is deteriorating as the days pass, because she's worried, she's concerned. She can't understand why Ford has done what they've done, from the stories of the fire starting in the back of the car, for us proving that it started in front, from the suicide allegations was the worst. It's torn my mum apart. And with this meeting, I strongly felt, because in my interactions with Jeff Nemeth, I felt that he was trying to redeem himself, that he was trying to do right and give my family closure. So this has, I think, damaged her more and opened all her wounds after having the meeting with him. They offered my family a new Ford. They said we could have a Ford of our choice. The Archbishop did ask me, what is our family doing in memory of Rishal? And I mentioned that we have been doing charity, because Rishal's passion was babies and orphans, and we then got in touch with his company, Native VML. They revamped a home in his honor, and we were involved with that. So I explained the whole story to him, and then Jeff Nemeth said, yes, they've done research as well, and there's a possibility they could probably look at donating to this home, because they've heard how passionate Rishal was about it, and it's a brilliant charity that he was involved in. So there was a possibility of them getting involved and donating something to a charity of our choice, maybe, and they offered us a car. He didn't specify which car, but he just said they've offered us a car, and to settle Rishal's car, because the insurance repudiated the claim. They said they're not taking responsibility because of the fact that the fire was caused by the car, a fault of the car, manufacturing fault. So they asked that Ford needed to take responsibility, and that would have happened in the legal matter. So he said they would cover the costs of the car. I was shocked. I sat there and listened, and tears just rolled down my face, because it felt like a slap on my face saying, your brother's life was the value of a car. And then further to that, knowing that my brother burned to death in a Ford, knowing the extent of what happened to him, how could Ford even think that we would remotely consider this offer? And I told Jeff Nemeth that I didn't want to sound nasty, but I, for one, would not put my foot in a Ford, and I don't think anyone in my family would. Yes, he said that they've come across recent evidence in Rishal's matter, and obviously I asked what was that, because we have no knowledge of anything new coming about since it's a year and 5 months. He went on to explain what happened to Rishal on the day, made allegations that there was a person following Rishal to the hotel, Rishal coming out of this hotel that he checked into, and this person had a few words with Rishal, and then said that this person then followed Rishal further, and the fire started, and he went on to say that how the fire started and the technical, we had a discussion around that. But then he said that they found that the officer that was the first person that got onto the scene looked through the window of Rishal's car and saw a bullet wound to Rishal's forehead. And this officer told the witnesses that this man has been shot and there's a bullet wound to his head. I then asked him, how can that be remotely possible, because you've had access to his autopsy, which clearly confirms and rules out shooting, and the cause of death was due to severe charring and soot being, and that was caused by inhaling the smoke. Rishal's blood was cherry red, and cherry red is a lack of oxygen, and that shows that Rishal was still breathing while this fire was going on. And if he had a bullet to his head, from my knowledge and from experts that I've spoken to, if you shot in the middle of your head, you die immediately. So how was Rishal inhaling such an extensive amount of soot that went right down his trachea and caused his blood to be cherry red? But the autopsy proves that there's no bullet wound, there's no gunshots, there's no foul play. I've spoken to officers then after hearing this from Jeff Nemeth, asking them, is this true? Is there any affidavit to this, saying that there's a possibility of shooting? They've confirmed it's not true. There's no shooting. There was never shooting, and they ruled that out in the very, very start. So I was gobsmacked that now from suicide, someone murdered him. I don't know whether they're saying someone murdered him or what they're insinuating, but I don't know. What's next from Ford? He asked that I share with him the autopsy because he claimed that he didn't have full access to it. And he said there's a few little things that he would need, and he'll share that with me for them to move forward and take responsibility. And at that point, I told him that you've led me to believe that this meeting would be the end of it all. That Ford has now given you the mandate to settle this matter because they're taking responsibility. I mean, he's gone to the extent telling me that I shouldn't worry about him leaving and the timing of the meeting being so close to him leaving, because he's assured that after this meeting we will all have closure and Rishal's matter would be put to rest. So reaching that point and discussing the shooting, he said that he would need a few documents from me just to prove about the shooting, that it didn't happen, because he claimed he didn't have access to the autopsy. I then said, not a problem, and I left there very confused about how we're going to move forward from this. But I thought to myself, if it's just that, it's very easy to prove because it's there, it's in black and white. And I got a list from him after, a very long list. And that list is shocking. Asking for 2 years of Rishal's medical history, asking for camera footage 48 hours prior to the incident, asking for receipts, asking for interviews with Rishal's friends and family, asking for, it's a long list. But absurd, if you look at the list, you would think, how can Ford, a year and 5 months later, ask us for this when Jeff Nemeth led us on to believe that they are taking responsibility? And, that's where we are. We've given him, we've made it very clear with him that he has let us, used his faith to convince me that he's being sincere in what he's doing. And I really believed him. I thought to myself, if he's including the Archbishop, if he's going through such extents, this man is trying to redeem himself and he would do things right moving forward. And it's left us now questioning him. I've got endless messages from him telling me I've got mandate to settle, I'm going to do this, you're going to have closure. So we left in a predicament now where we've told him, you have till today to rectify what you've done, and if you don't, then we proceed legally, because what we want is justice for Rishal, and Ford needs to take responsibility. They've gone through every excuse they could possibly go through. And I don't know what next. So that's where we are currently. The thing is, nothing will bring Rishal back. And offering us a car is not going to make our lives any easier. We have my mum, who Rishal took care of. He was her breadwinner. And I just feel that they need to do the right thing. But the most important thing is, and the key thing is, Ford needs to take responsibility, because their car had a problem. Rishal burned to death in that car. And stop making, accusations and making it hard on the family to actually grieve, to move forward. My mum was left shattered after that meeting, thinking that someone murdered Rishal. We had to sit and read the autopsy to her to make her understand that it's not true. She hasn't been sleeping. We had to get her medication to calm her down. So it's just a matter of Ford taking responsibility. And with that comes legal proceedings, with that comes, I don't know where we going to head with this, but Ford needs to take responsibility. That's key for us.